it falls back into what I was saying about being in flow. Like you're in flow state and things work out because you're in alignment. You know what I mean? Like when something isn't in alignment, like when a car part is like not the screws and the bolts aren't bolted on right and it's all crooked and stuff, you try to drive that car, a wheel's gonna fly off. You know what I mean? But when everything's in alignment and those screws are tight and that wheel is spinning, you could go 100 miles per hour and that car's gonna perform at peak performance. That's humans. Like when everything is in alignment, you're this spiritual being in a human experience that's designed to do great things, and you can do those great things whenever you're coming from that place of intuition. You know, I'm with you 100%. Intuition is big, and I wish more people would follow their intuition and not self-doubt. Going back to what you said.
I wouldn't call it self-doubt. I'm gonna hit you with something. So okay, I agree. I wish more people would follow it. I have not always followed my intuition, and it wasn't because of like self-doubt. It was because I could not identify it, and I didn't know what it was. And if no one tells you about intuition, that it's a thing that exists, and teaches you how to listen to your body and listen to yourself, then I think you interpret that as like anxiety or, you know, depression or however you interpret that. But ultimately what it is a lack of alignment. And it wasn't until like I hit a point where I'm like, oh my God, I am physically unwell that I realized, I think this is what my intuition is, because I literally can't. I need to listen to it now and I need to answer it. But yeah, like ideally you wouldn't get to that point because you would know. So some people just need a guide, I think, to teach them that, you know, there is like something, like your spirit will talk to you and listen to it. And it's physical. It's a physical thing that you can feel.
Super important. Sure. That actually, this is a good segue. So do you think that, so me personally, I write about the Pathfinder's Pyramid in my book. And one of the stages is distraction, right? So we go from survival, like just trying to figure it out, trying to pay the rent, trying to pay bills, trying to put food on the table, that kind of stuff. And then you grow out of that a little bit, and then you go into distraction. Now it's like I'm living a comfortable life and I can afford to like go to every concert and go to every nightclub and hang out with the girls every night and go to Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and Costa Rica and Colombia and have all these great vacations. And I think I'm living in purpose, but I'm really distracted. I'm just like looking for constant stimulation. So do you think, my question, and then I'll play off you based off what you say. Do you think distraction and looking for external stimulation is a way to run away from that voice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be. And the reason I say it can be is because I think when you are not living in alignment and you're doing all of those things, then it's distraction. However, when you're living in alignment and you're doing all of those things, I think it's passion. And it is, you honoring yourself with great experiences that are going to fuel you because you seek adventure or you seek peace, whatever it is, the experience that you are going after is. But if you're not living in alignment and, all you can think about is doing those things, it's 100% escapism. So it all comes down to, what is your day-to-day? If you're loving your day-to-day and you want to do those things, phenomenal, treat yourself. If you're hating your day-to-day and you want to do those things, then you need to figure out how to make your day-to-day better. And then see, do you even still want to do those things? Or is it just because you hate your day-to-day? When I'm really sad or mad or whatever it is, I'll be dying for a vacation. When I'm loving my day-to-day, I'm not thinking about a vacation. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have this, then I have this coming up. You have things to look forward to. You're really happy. You're making waves on your journey. You're on your path. But when you're not, all that shit is a lovely distraction.
Definitely. The vacation, right? It's like, it's the average person's way of escaping their life. And if you want to escape from your life, you hate your life. So obviously something's wrong.
Right.
You're so right. When you're living that purpose and you're on fire and you're like loving your life, you're not thinking about going on vacation. You're not thinking, why would I want to escape from this reality? I love this reality. Like this is
right.
this
Like
was what I wanted all along. It's
you don't need the
like,
vacation. It's that it. You just don't need the
exactly.
vacation.
My life is what I wanted. I don't want to get away from this. You know?
Right. You don't desire it.
Exactly. I think, who was it I read a book. I think it was Richard Branson that said that I go on vacation and I'm counting the minutes to when I get back home, because my life is the story. It's what I look forward to. It's the dream. Like some people look forward to going to sleep so they can dream. I look forward to waking up so I can live. You know what I mean?
But you know, that's also not to say that people can't want a little vacation. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody's like, yo, Jazz, you want to go to Turks and Caicos? Like, I'm out. We out. We out. Let's go. And I love my day-to-days. So
I love traveling. I'm with you. Not to say don't travel. Travel.
Still great.
I love traveling.
Traveling is great. We're not hating on traveling.
No, not at all. Not at all. Mm-hmm. No, traveling. So I'm a firm believer that there's three natural, like these three things develop you as a person naturally, like without any. The process of going through these things just develop you as a person, and they level you up. So first is entrepreneurship, whether that could be acting, that could be singing, that could be opening a traditional business, like anything that's entrepreneurial or creative. That develops you to a level that I can't even describe, because there's so much problem solving and like getting uncomfortable and being around new people. There's so many different circumstances in that, where you're forced to do things you would never do, that you become a person you could never become had you not gone through that process, right?
Absolutely.
Process number 2 is getting in shape. It takes serious discipline and serious effort and serious consistency to get in shape. Like, I've lost about 40 pounds in the last 6 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it took some hard work. It takes consistency. It takes me talking to myself and tricking myself into liking doing these push-ups or lifting these weights. Like, I have to get into that kind of mindset to really keep myself on track. So that's number 2. Number 3 is traveling, bro. When you travel the world and you meet new people and you see new cultures and you try new foods, and you see new places, your mind, at least my mind, when I've gone to these places and I've met these people and I've had these humbling experiences where I'm just so humbled to like sit on a mountain in Colombia and look up at the sky at night and see all these stars, and like, it's just these beautiful experiences that can only be done in person, right? You can't, a picture on Instagram, no, dog. You got to go to Costa Rica. You got to go to Rancho de Lapia. You got to go to these places I've been to and like see these things and be around these people to be like, wow, the world is like so much more than I ever thought it could be.
Especially on being around the people. Like, I think that, you know, so many people are in their bubble. There's like, you probably heard this joke that Americans don't have passports and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Traveling is so important. You learn about people, you learn about cultures, you just finally get out your bubble for once. Like, I know people that have never left the Bronx, and I'm like, you gotta get out the Bronx. Crazy, like recently someone, I ain't gonna say who, but someone, I was like, oh, I want to go to the beach. I want to go with you, but I'm not getting in the water. Like, oh, you don't get in this water? Let me guess. You only get in the water in PR or DR or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, like you forget where you come from. Yeah, I'm like, it's not that I forgot where I come from. Like growing up, yeah, I was in that water every day. Orchard Beach, I'm there. But once you experience more, it's like, well, now I don't want to do that anymore because I've had better. And that's okay. People, I feel like, you know, shit on that so often. And it's okay to not want to do shit you used to do anymore because now you're onto some new shit. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you forgot where you came from. You just experience new things because you saw a little bit more of the world, and maybe that changed your standards a little bit. That's cool. That's cool. So yes, get out there and travel. And I love the fitness one too, because I feel like that's the one thing that, you know, it's earned. You can't buy that.
Boo.
Anyone could buy like a nice ass and boobs or whatever. Anyone can buy anything physical. Yo. You cannot buy muscles. Absolutely not. You gotta hit the gym for that. You gotta put in that work, that blood, sweat, and tears.
You know what no man on this earth can buy? Looking good in a suit. Like, you look good in a suit when you're in shape And like that look you get and how you look in a photo. And when you look at a picture and you're like, man, like when I look at myself in a tank top now, I'm like, yo, who is that guy? You cannot buy that. You have to earn that, man. And it takes blood, sweat, and tears. Let me tell you, there's days where I was so sore, but I did it anyway. And it was that like grit and that moment of having to do the hard thing when you're physically in pain, not even mentally in pain. It's one thing to be mentally difficult or emotionally struggling, but to be physically hurt and still, that's why I love fighters, like UFC fighters, MMA fighters, boxing fighters. I love them because to be physically in pain and like have a cut on your face the size of the Statue of Liberty and like and still get up.
Fight.
Yo, I just had one of my really good friends, Danny Chavez. He used to fight in the UFC, and another buddy of mine, Tyler Goodjohn. He's a bare knuckle fighter. Like these guys, you see they're just different humans. Like they stand up to so much adversity and they run face first into that shit. Like, yo, that's different. When you're physically in pain and you still choose to fight through it. You know who I've really gotten into lately is David Goggins. Yo, that guy is a monster. Monster. Like the stuff he does.
What does he do?
So David Goggins he's been titled the toughest man on the planet because the things he's been through in his life are pretty crazy. He once ran a 100-mile marathon with no training, and he did it successfully. I mean, at the end of it, he was in bad shape, but
your legs cramp up. You're not gonna imagine.
No, I mean, he was like, it was bad. But anyway, he did it. The guy is a Navy SEAL, so he went through Hell Week 3 times. I'm sure you've heard of Hell Week, right? And Navy SEAL.
I've heard of Hell Week. I don't know what it is, but I know it's hell. I get it.
It's known as like the most difficult thing a man can go through. He did it 3 times. Crazy. Yeah. The next hardest thing in the military is Army Ranger School. He did that. Like, just a list of a plethora of things that he purposely, he broke the world pull-up record, most consecutive pull-ups in 48 hours.
Wow.
Like, and then on top of all that, his childhood is so traumatic. Like the stuff he went through, I would suggest you buy, he has 2 books out. He has one called Can't Hurt Me and one called Never Finish. Either one will absolutely amaze you. If you listen to the audiobook, it's the audiobook, and then they do like a little mini podcast at the end of each chapter. It's really good. You would like it.
Okay, so I'll look that up. I love audiobooks.
Yeah. If you're ever struggling, like if you ever don't want to do a workout and you put on some David Goggins, trust me, you're going to want to do it.
You're going to finish the workout. You're going to do better than if you had even wanted to do the workout.
110%. This man, like the moment that changed his life, he was over 300 pounds. He was massive. He lost 90 pounds in like, what was it? Some ridiculous, like 90 pounds in 90 days, something crazy. Because he needed to make weight by a certain date to qualify to get into the Navy, the Naval Academy. And he was like, I'm doing it. Like, and if you look at his schedule to exercise, it's crazy. It's crazy. Get the audiobook, read the book.
All right, I'm gonna have to check him out.
He's super fire. I think there's me personally, my personality, like I see so much beauty in the darkness, like in going through that adversity and going through those really trying times. Because if it's not for that resistance, you know what I mean? You're not stretching. Like a rubber band, it can't stretch if you don't pull it. And that's us when we grow, right? Like that stretch and that expansion that we feel it's painful, but that just means you're growing. You're getting bigger.
Right, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course,
and
of course.
I'm a person that's a big proponent of like the uncomfortable and the difficult and the tough and putting yourself in those challenging situations because that's the only way you're ever going to see what you're made of. You know what I mean? Like
that is true. Sure.
Kudos to you, by the way. You work out
is a skill.
A lot. Kudos to you. You work out a lot. I see you on the stories.
Thank you.
You're consistent. So,
you know, I do my best. Sometimes I do fall off. Not gonna lie, I'm a human being. I do fall off sometimes. But recently I've been really consistent, and I mean, you just always feel a difference. It's hard because, I mean, I get so busy and my schedule gets packed, and and that's why I do fall off. But at the same time, you know, you have more energy if you go to the gym, so I could fit more in my schedule because I have a little more energy. It's kind of a catch-22. I feel like it's one of the things that, you know, sometimes I don't make time for, but I need to make time for it. But recently, yeah, I've been really consistent. The gains are coming in; they always coming in. So we out here, we on the game train.